Hey guys, how's it going? This is Rage, and today I'm accompanied with two of my friends, Spawn and Crazyman. You guys can say hello if you want.
What's up?
What's going on?
So,
just for reference, yeah. Oh fuck, shot. This is shot. Let's take a shot.
take a shot for what?
I don't know. I fucked up the beginning. I just started talking when I wasn't supposed to.
That's fine. I don't think it really matters. We're gonna be doing kind of like a podcast on my channel every week or two, hopefully. It might be a little inconsistent sometimes due to some of our schedules, so we'll try and do this as much as we can every week or so. Pretty much what you can expect is on the podcast you'll have probably the three of us. One of our other guys, Jesse Cola, he's actually sick right now, so he's not going to be accompanying us today, which is unfortunate, but hopefully we'll have him for the following recording. And today we have just a couple of topics and game releases and whatnot we want to go over, and we'll just kind of go from there. So, I think one of the bigger topics that Andrew wanted to talk about, or Spawn, whatever you want to refer to him as, is gaming trends. So do you want to kind of like shoot that away and get started on that, or?
Sure. Yeah, I just wanted to start a discussion on, what causes gaming trends to catch on and what decides what's going to be the trends in the future, what we're going to be seeing, and why we've seen some of the things that we've seen in the past. It's my personal belief and my argument that I believe that gaming trends really are solely dependent on the technological state of development and really the new technology that has come out around the time of either the release of the console or the release of the games. So if we go back 2 decades and we see that we have all these side-scrollers and role-playing games.
Stupid phone?
What was that?
That was my phone, sorry.
Sorry. So if we go back and we look at those games, why we have those games, well, look at the technology that was around. Like, if you look at a NAS console, you have like 4 buttons. Compare that to an Xbox 360 console, you have like all these other buttons so you can interact with all these other objects and things like that. And I really, so that's why we had those back then, and now we have, obviously, when Xbox 360 and PS3 came out, we have COD, like Call of Duty, and first-person shooters in general. That's kind of the trend that caught on, and I believe that's because the big thing that hit was the jump in graphics, I think. Like, yeah, we were allowed to have more object interaction, but the graphics was the biggest jump, and I believe that's just what caught on. But the processors really weren't powerful enough to handle like open world environments, and now with the PS4, if anyone watched the release or the announcement of that console, the main kind of focus of that was open world. So I think that's what we're gonna see in the future.
Well, I honestly think it wasn't more the jump in graphics. I think it was more the jump in being able to connect with everybody worldwide, like the multiplayer connectivity. I think that was what really jumped us into the first-person shooters more than anything.
Yeah, Xbox Live, PSN network, PlayStation Network, sorry.
Yes, and then with Steam and the like Origin and all that crap, like I think that's what put us more into the first-person shooter stage rather than continuing with the side scrollers or moving into the open world concepts.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying that they're gonna go away. Obviously, first-person shooters are never gonna go away. Because, there was, like, Doom, even when those side-scrollers were around.
True.
But I'm just saying, like, we're probably going to see less of them with the new generation of consoles that are coming out.
Yeah, well, if you think about it, though, when you said, like, drive limitations and whatnot with certain consoles, one of the things I liked about, like, the old N64, I don't know if you guys ever owned one.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, when you played games like Zelda Majora's Mask or Donkey Kong 64, they actually gave you this little, like, additional drive thing that you could put into your N64, which will allow the system's capability to play things like Donkey Kong 64, Zelda Majora's Mask, and the games that need a lot more capability to run. And it actually gave a boost to the system that was pretty awesome. And I think now, like with some of the games that we have now, we have like Xbox is always coming out, and the one thing everybody's looking for is like, hey, how big of a world can we build? How much can we push our console to make the ultimate game? And you see a lot of sandbox games, but some of them are very constraining, I guess. Some of them aren't as sandbox as you really hope they are.
Yeah.
Like they limit on the graphics once they go to the sandbox concept now.
Plus, like, if you try and compare, like, sandbox games, there's so many games out there. Like, there's Assassin's Creed, there's Fallout, there's Skyrim, and...
There's Borderlands.
Yeah, there's so many different ideas of, like, sandbox. It's like, which one is your ideal sandbox title, and which one is, like, the perfect limitation you want, right?
Yeah.
How much open world can you have? Like, if you played Minecraft on the PC, it's endless. It goes forever, but that's because your PC has so much drive and so much to it that it can process a massive world and just keep saving it.
So Minecraft actually is continuous.
Yeah, on the PC it's continuous, it'll go on forever, whereas the Xbox one...
Xbox is very limited.
Yeah, its processor and RAM can only hold, like, so much, but that's what brings in, like, a lot of the debate with the new systems coming out, like the PS3 and possibly the Xbox 4 or 3, whatever you want to call it.
Let's not even give it a name. Just the new Microsoft console.
The new Xbox, I don't know what they're going to call it. The new Microsoft console, everybody's rumoring, like, oh, PS4 did the 6 gigabytes of RAM, well, Xbox...
They did 8 gigabytes.
Was it 8 gigabytes?
It's 8 gigabytes.
Yeah, it's 8 gigabytes. So it's like, is Xbox going to step it up? Will you be able to play some of these, like, really big games on, like, the PC that you couldn't play on Xbox now on your Xbox or your PlayStation 4, right?
Yeah, or are they going to be able to bring in that Skyrim multiplayer that everyone's talking about on the PC?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, from what I've heard, Xbox is going to have the 2 graphics cards, so like 2 AMD 7000 series or something like that. So it's going to be able to handle a lot. And I think in the long run, like, I think Xbox is going to take PlayStation again, honestly.
Well, I don't think Xbox has really ever been below PlayStation besides, like, PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
And that's when I think PlayStation was really in their prime, when they had their Final Fantasy, they had SOCOM, they had all these amazing games, but then Xbox stepped it up with the multiplayer concept, and it just blew PlayStation out of the water, and PlayStation could never really catch up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know, it's a, like, age-old debate between Xbox and PlayStation, and I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, Xbox is better, because I've never really owned a PlayStation to be able to make that conclusion that, oh, Xbox is clearly better, because it does this and that, but each one...
Yeah, each one has its good points, but each one has its bad points.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, I kind of feel like if I want to play a game that has, like, really beautiful graphics, it's really open world, it's very adventure-y, chances are I might pick up something like a PlayStation, because, like, all the Uncharted series, that new game coming out, The Last of Us, like, there's so much to that game system that just has some great games like that, whereas with Xbox, you got some racing games, you got some fun, like, first-person shooter games, you got some good third-person shooter games. I don't know, I feel like there's a gap between the two, like, one isn't really necessarily better than the other, but one has some better exclusive titles than the other one does.
Yeah, like I've noticed with PlayStation, they focus on their graphics. Like anything that comes out on PlayStation, it is graphic-oriented. It's not all about the multiplayer. It's not all about connecting with friends or the achievements like Xbox has or the downloadable content that Xbox has. It's more based on graphics. Look at this blade of grass. Like, it actually looks like a blade of grass. Like, honestly, go look at
grass.
Yeah, go look at Skyrim on the PS3 compared to the Xbox 360. It's remarkably different.
Oh, I know, like, there's massive differences, and I don't know, I think one of the things that really added to people choosing PlayStation over Xbox is maybe that free online play, that you didn't have to buy Xbox Live every month to be able to, or like every year to be able to play. So it's like, oh yeah, here you go, you bought the console. If you have an internet connection, you can play online, you can play with people. That kind of draws people in towards that idea with Xbox. It's like, oh, I gotta pay for it, I gotta do this and that, it's too much. I'm already paying enough for games as is.
They're only going to get more expensive.
Oh, I know. The inflation on games is just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Stop beeping, dryer. Stop it. No. Okay, good. It stopped. It listens to me. So, what do you guys think we'll see for, like, growing trends in the future? Like, what's growing? What's dying? What do you think we're going to expect here?
Do you want to go first, Blake?
Yeah, sure. I honestly see the open world concepts just expanding beyond belief. Like, it is going to be sandbox after sandbox after sandbox. I'm really looking forward to Watch Dogs and The Last of Us. I think that's going to be absolutely amazing. Because, like, I really was into Grand Theft Auto and Borderlands and Skyrim. I really enjoy the open world concept, the continuation of everything that there is, but that's just me saying, but I think the first-person shooters are slowly going to die off. I see the sports games coming back around more, but honestly, the open world, I think, is going to take number one.
Yeah, I'd agree with that 100%. Just these new consoles, the technology that's coming out with them, not to say, I mean, every time something new comes out like this, the technology is just amazing. And yeah, I think the open world concept's just going to be explosive. Like, developers are going to be able to really do whatever they want with this next generation of games. Like, there's still going to be limits, but as far as graphics and memory go, 8 gigabytes is a ton for a gaming system. It might not be for a computer, but for something that's completely dedicated to gaming, that's incredible. That's like double that on a laptop. So I'm excited to see what's going to come out. If you had to ask me right now, I would nail it down to open world concept, but who knows, really.
Yeah. I think there might be a little bit of a bias here with open world. Like, I agree, open world will be like the next thing with all the hardware advances that we're making to the new consoles. But I think the first-person shooter might die down a little bit, but it will be revived. Like, you just need that one good title out there to come out and be like, wow, this is unique, this is not generic.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't the COD that I've played, this isn't the Battlefield that I've played numerous times. You need that game that has that kind of like different feel to it, where it's like, this is a first-person shooter, but it's different. It's kind of like, did you guys ever play Spec Ops: The Line?
Can't say I have.
That game came out, I think, a year ago. It came out on like PC, Xbox, I think PlayStation 3 as well, and it was a really good game, just really revolutionary, and it felt like a different first-person shooter than anything like COD or anything like that. Just a riveting storyline, it just captivated you, and it felt like something unique that would revive the series a little bit. And I enjoy first-person shooters every now and then, but with the way that they're getting pumped out every now and then, like, I think COD games come out every 8 to 12 months now, and it's really hard to keep up with all of them and continuously buy all the DLCs that they make for their games and seasons passes.
Honestly, COD is done. I feel that they should stop at Black Ops 2. There's not much more they can do. Sure, they can introduce the new guns, the new maps, but honestly, we're not being fooled by the game. Like, it's still the same campaign. Oh, go do this, rescue this guy, shoot the bad guy, save the world.
Oh, people are being fooled, all right, and I'm sure people will be fooled a couple more times.
Maybe. There's the COD fanboys who will live it out to the end, but there's the true gamers who truly have expanded. They're not just waiting for the next COD. They're waiting for the next Tiger Woods PGA 14. They're waiting for the next, like, Borderlands 3 if it's ever going to come out. They're waiting for a new Resident Evil game. They're waiting for all these new game titles just to see what it's like. But then there's the COD fanboys. Oh, every other game sucks but COD.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I think what we can see a lot of, and it's maybe one of my kind of personal biases, but third-person shooters. I feel third-person shooters might be a little bit more expansive with, like, stories and whatnot, and it almost feels like third-person shooter games aren't as constricting as first-person shooters, because when you play a first-person shooter, chances are you're playing COD or Battlefield, it's all realistic, it's all current and whatnot. You might be a little bit in the future, but you go play, like, third-person shooter, like any game that you can think of. I'm thinking maybe like Epic here with Gears of War, Bulletstorm and whatnot. They're really out there, they're far-fetched, and it's not even like that realistic factor, but it kind of draws you in because it's fantasy and it's different. It's not a first-person shooter. Some people might not like the camera perspective, but I feel there's a little more, I guess, expansion that you could do with a third-person shooter with a storyline and be a little more creative with it than a first-person, where it feels you kind of constricted to that general idea of walk forward, shoot the bad guy, progress, shoot the bad guy, progress.
Yeah, they really need to just expand.
I guess maybe a first-person shooter that was good, though, was Metro 2033, that people didn't get really into that game. Like, that game was awesome, and it was all, like, post-apocalyptic, and that was one of those unique first-person titles, and I think everybody's looking forward to that new one that's coming out. I don't know what the title is of it, but they're making another one of it. It's like, I'll buy it. I'll play it. I'll see what happens with it.
I will buy it, too. I'm looking forward to it.
Alright, so do you guys want to talk about some of the recent game releases coming out, or?
Let's do it.
Yeah, so I'm just going to list off some of the titles coming out this month, and then we'll talk about them. So, right now we just recently had Runner 2 release on the PC, Wii U, and Xbox Live Arcade just recently. I picked up a version of it. It's great. We got The Amazing Spider-Man, which is going to be coming out on the Wii U, which is a recent game, but it's coming out on the Wii U, which is going to be kind of awesome for Wii U players out there. You got God of War Ascension, which I'm pretty sure people have seen trailers for, coming out March 12th on the PS3. Got The Walking Dead Survival Instinct, March 19th, PS3 and 360. Gears of War Judgment, which is another expansion, March 19th, 360. Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, March 24th, 3DS. Bioshock Infinite, I'm dying for this, March 26th. All the major consoles, and Lost Planet 3. Some people might not be big on the Lost Planet series. March 29th, all major titles as well. So, take it away on what you guys think of some of the titles coming out.
Maybe we should just go in order of what you said, or...
Yeah, have you guys seen anything of Runner 2 or played any of Runner 2?
Only what you've...
Yeah, really, only what you've posted.
Yeah, I haven't really posted much. Maybe you should do a little bit more of that, but the game is really good. It's aesthetically pleasing, it's got kind of captivating music, keeps you playing, and there's just so much challenge to it that you fail, but you get sent back, and it's like, I can do better than this. I can do better, and you die, and you keep going, and it doesn't really punish you too much like the first game did, so I'm pretty fond of it. Did you guys ever play The Amazing Spider-Man at all, or?
Like, other titles for other systems?
Yeah, because The Amazing Spider-Man already did come out on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox already.
Oh, well, I haven't played that version. I've played other Spider-Man titles, so...
Yeah.
But I'd say it would be really good on the Wii U. If there was a system where there could be a Spider-Man game, I'd say Wii U would be pretty good.
Yeah, I kind of like to see what's going to happen with the Wii U and how the games are going to progress. Like, something like that, I'd like to see how you could put that on your controller or like the gamepad and walk into another room and play it on there, right? Because everybody knows the Spider-Man games are like massively open world at times. You're swinging between buildings and whatnot. How would you bring that limitation from your screen to this small little pad in front of you? Will it be kind of like one of those really cheap DS games that you get where the graphics are really bad, or will it be just amazing on the pad?
Will I don't really know too much about the Wii U, but does it still have the nunchucks controllers?
It doesn't.
I believe it does, but that's only if you're not using the Wii Pad. Like it's still a basic Wii, but they added that Wii U, like the gamer pad.
Yeah, the gamer pad. Because I was gonna say, if it was the regular Wii, like I could see a Spider-Man game being really good with being able to control the web slinging and stuff like that.
Yeah.
With the big pad controller, I'll be interested to see what they do with it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because it handles like a controller. So you've got like the left analog stick on the left side. You've got the A, B, Y, X buttons on the right side. I think you have a dialogue stick. Oh my god, or D-pad, whatever you want to call that, not dialogue stick. I hate this clock, man. This is like screwed up so many of my recordings. It just botches all of them. This is gonna be a while. I should just take the batteries out of this damn thing. But yeah, it's that kind of idea of a controller, and I don't know. It feels a little big and clunky for me.
Yeah, I honestly think the Wii Pad is a little bit clunky because if it really like you want to continue playing your game and your parents kick you off the TV, you sort of grab your Wii Pad, you go into your room, sit and play. It feels very bulky. It feels like a DS, like you're trying to play an oversized version, or you're trying to hold an oversized controller. I just don't think it would feel right. It's nice that they have that little screen in there, but it's just, I don't know, it's just not for me, I think.
When you were a kid and your parents kicked you off, like back when I was a kid and around when my parents kicked me off, I had like my PSP, and that was easy enough that you could go to your room and play, and if they walked in, you could hide it. I don't know how you're supposed to hide that huge thing. I think it's funny because they aimed it at, like, you know, the Wii is aimed at a younger audience. The controller's like half the size as a kid.
Yeah. Well, especially, like, I don't think kids have that big of hands to handle something like that. And if you look at, like, the very original Xbox when they had the old, very big, clunky...
That was the whole...
Yeah, that was difficult to hold, and we were all kids when we tried it. You couldn't hold that. Well, the Wii U is a little bit smaller than that, but it's still, like, bloody hell, it's big as hell to hold. I struggle with it at times. I played Scribblenauts for like an hour, and after a while, like, you're using the touchpad to spell words out, but you're holding it with the left hand. after a while your wrist goes sore, and it's like, oh my god, I gotta put this down or something.
Yeah, and for a kid who's easily under the age of 12, it'll be very difficult for them.
Yeah, unless he masturbates a lot, but you know.
At under age 12, I don't think that's gonna happen.
You'd be surprised. There's probably some like chronic masturbating 12-year-old out there.
Okay, on to the next game.
Yeah, so we've got God of War Ascensions. Any of you guys play the God of War games at all, or?
I've played 1 and 2. I really enjoyed 1 and 2. Like, I really like the sort of scenario of the gods thing, but I don't know. I lost touch after number 3, so I don't know how good Ascension will be.
I think it'll be interesting, and I'm just gonna throw this out there. Spoiler alert! This is for like the first game. I'm pretty sure it's the first game, so be warned. This is gonna be like a God of War spoiler. I know, like in the first 2 games, you like kill your wife and your daughter or something like that, and like, was it like Zeus tricks you or something like that?
Yep.
Yeah, he like tricks you and you have to kill your kids, and I think like Hades helps you out and you have to like kill all of them, but I don't know exactly how it works. I've only played like parts of the games, but how is that gonna work? Because if you watch the trailers, like his wife and his kid are in the new one. It's like, well, are they bringing them back in some way, or is he still suffering from this turmoil of killing his family and trying to find some sort of reconciliation that he's never gonna get?
Yeah, and I think it may be like a flashback sort of thing, and as he goes through all of the gods sort of thing, he finally makes his way up into Zeus's palace, or whatever the fuck that place is called, and I'm sure Zeus has kept them alive sort of thing, and it's all a test, or something along those lines, and the God of War is becoming the new, whatever the fuck his name is, but he's becoming like the new overlord of all the gods, maybe, yeah. But that's just a guess.
Plot twist, his name's gonna be Mars in this one. It's gonna be, that was a really bad Planets joke, but I guess nobody got it. Mars, the bringer of war? God of War?
Yeah,
no?
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know who Mars is, but...
Anyways, go to the next one, I guess. The Walking Dead Survival Instinct. Have you guys seen anything from that at all?
Well, you just skipped over a very popular game.
Oh, wait, no.
Tomb Raider.
Oh, when does Tomb Raider come out?
It is the 5th as well, along with Amazing Spider-Man and MLB and all that jazz.
Did that one just come out, or?
No, it comes out on the 5th, and I'm honestly looking forward to that. Sure, because Tomb Raider's been around since, I don't know when. Like, it's just been that sort of open world, dungeon crawling sort of game.
Did I actually skip over that?
Yeah, you skipped right over it.
I know a lot of fanboys who are upset about what the series has become, so I don't know. It's like with every series, though.
Yeah, every fanboy loses their touch.
Yeah, but I don't know. I heard a lot about this new Tomb Raider game. It's going to be different because it's getting away with that idea of Lara Croft is Angelina Jolie. It's now this new character that looks different. Like, it's still the similar idea of Lara Croft, but it's like, hey, we're not going to model her after Angelina Jolie anymore. We're going to have our own independent character. And some of the, like, trailers I've seen, I thought this game was coming out in, like, April or something like that. It looks like it's fleshed out her character a lot, and it looks like she's maybe, like, younger, maybe at the beginning of her travels, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, well, it's not really called anything, like, it's just straight up Tomb Raider, so that may be what it's going for, like, the prequel of everything.
Yeah, like a reboot. If anything.
Or a reboot. That would be nice.
Yeah, so I'd like to see where that one goes. I don't know if anybody's interested in. Let's see here. I've got MLB 13 that comes out on the 5th as well. Major League Baseball again. Sims 3 University Life. Oh, brother.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting. And then SimCity. Oh man, that game has been going for years. That originally launched on, like, what, the NES or the Super NES? The SimCity games?
Something like that, yeah. The Sims has really sort of died out. Like, they can't really expand much anymore. It's more, okay, build your house, trap a guy in a pool, remove the ladder, watch him starve to death.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, it's more of a cynical game than anything. Like,
it's a very masochistic or sadistic game. That's what I'm looking for. Is like you sit there and it's like he's not eating today. Ha 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 ha. Bitch.
Build a pool, delete a ladder.
No.
Yeah.
The way of doing it.
Or you trap him in a room full of beds and a fireplace.
No
door.
What I used to do when I was a kid, this is probably the worst thing you could do. You'd get them on the diving board, and they'd climb up the diving board to jump in the pool, and you'd pause the game, saw the pool, and put a glass table at the bottom, and they'd jump off onto the glass table, and it would shatter, and they'd die.
Okay, that's just cruel. I used to trap them in rooms with a fireplace and a bunch of beds and watch them burn to death, or just have them swim around a pool and starve to death. But that's just brutal.
I made one guy die from his own smell.
Yeah, I've done some shit like that.
It's a very sadistic game, and I think honestly, it should be rated a lot higher than it is. Or at least put some parental controls on it, because
I disagree.
Well, I guess there should be like a setting you could set to like a mature setting, so it's like it does have the like death and all those consequences in life, instead of like, hey, look, my 8-year-old is playing The Sims. He forgot to feed his sim. His sim died. Oh.
Yeah.
This is something I want my kid growing up playing, you know?
Yeah, like, I don't think really anybody, like, I know nowadays all the parents, oh, my kid's gonna grow up to be a mass, like, school killer, all that sort of jazz, but, like, back in the day when we were young, nobody really had that sort of intention, because we all were smart enough, I sort of figured, like, nobody's gonna grab a gun and go shoot up a school, but then again, look at Columbine, look at all that shit in Connecticut, like...
Yeah, like, it happened, it's just...
It happens, but I think it's the majority of people who are sane enough to see it as a video game.
Yeah, and I don't know, when I was a kid, my parents always told me, yeah, you're not playing Halo, you're not playing this and that, because you're too young, right? And there was times I'd occasionally sneak it with my cousins, I'd play it, but it was that idea in mind that you knew better, or I did at least. I knew better when I was playing. It's like, I'm shooting aliens, that's okay, right?
Yeah.
And it just feels like some games nowadays are very graphic with some of their death animations, where you can like sneak up behind a guy and like slit his throat.
Yeah, and nobody is stopping, like, there's no parental controls. Like, a dad will go out and buy Call of Duty, and they won't put a parental control on their Xbox or a passcode or anything, and the 8-year-old ends up playing Call of Duty, and everybody knows that 8-year-old who comes on Xbox and yells at everybody, oh, you guys are such noobs, and he's at the bottom of the team, but honestly, he shouldn't be playing the game.
Yeah, and I don't know, I feel it's just like a childlike instinct, because when me and my friend, we were like 9 years old or so, and his stepdad had gotten the new Xbox 360 when it came out. I don't remember when it came out exactly, but his dad got the Xbox 360. Was it 2006? Mm-hmm. He'd gotten it as a tester, right? He was like a beta tester, so he had a version of it, and he had the new like Project Gotham Racing when it came out as like a launch title. And we were watching him play it, and he was like playing with people online, talking with them, and we were like trying to talk to him, like we were trying to beat them. When you're like 9 years old, you don't know how to beak. Oh, your name's Romeo. Where's Juliet? Right? Something really stupid. And, you know, it's just childlike instincts to get online and just trying to beak other people to try and make yourself bigger than them, but in reality, not really. It's just another kid trying to be some big hotshot on the internet, and it's really annoying after a while.
Yeah. Okay, so The Walking Dead Survival Instinct. What do you guys think?
Have you guys seen anything from it, or looked up anything from it?
No. I've seen the first Walking Dead game, but not anything about this new one.
The idea behind this one is it actually follows Daryl and Merle before they get to Atlanta. Okay. So you pretty much, I don't know which one you play as. I think if it's like co-op, you play as both of them.
I think you are Daryl, and then Merle. There's probably a co-op with Merle, or after you beat Daryl, you go to Merle sort of thing. Like, there's probably multiple quests, and then I'm sure they'll throw in something with Merle after he gets his hand cut off.
Yeah, kind of like an expansion at the end, but this one, it's supposed to be like a gear towards going to Atlanta, and I think that's going to be really interesting, because if it includes what's going on in Atlanta as well. If you guys haven't seen it, the first season, a lot happens in Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm just reading right now. It says the player assumes the role of Daryl Dixon.
Yeah, so...
That's going to sell the game right there.
Oh, yeah. Daryl, it's just... He is the badass of The Walking Dead.
Yeah, everybody loves Daryl, and there's a comic book expo coming up, and he's going to be there. I know people are just lining up. They're like, oh my god, I gotta go. Daryl's going to be there. I gotta meet Daryl. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to throw this out. Spoiler alert. I'll probably put a little annotation in here. I'll try not to make this too spoilery if you're just listening and you don't want to click. I've noticed, like, in the recent seasons, they've kind of geared it towards Daryl being more of the centerpiece over Rick. it's kind of like Rick's getting pushed to the side, and maybe they'll bring him back in some way, but it seems like Daryl's the good guy, the guy you love, and it's like a progression in him becoming the main character over
Even
the side
Carl
character.
doesn't want Rick anymore. Carl told him to step down and let Daryl take care of shit because Rick's being stupid. Like, he lost his wife, so I understand that he's in that mental state, but he really should give it up.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see where they go with that one. So do you guys have anything else you want to talk about on that one, or do you want to kind of go into the next one?
Well, there's not really much you can go on with, like, The Walking Dead, because there's not much there as it is right now. I just looked into it, and it's very basic. The most information they have is you play as Daryl Dixon, and there's uninfected people that can help you or hurt you. And that's all they have written down.
Yeah, and
It's very limited.
Do they have a trailer out? They probably do, but I haven't seen it.
I don't think it's out right now.
Oh, no, it looks like they do have like a gameplay trailer, but it looks very generic, I guess. Like, the graphics aren't amazing. It kind of reminds me of the graphics from the, what do you call that? I'm trying to think of a game here. Like, the graphics aren't one of those games where it's like it's super polished and it's super nice. The characters look a little off, too.
Borderlands? Like, honestly, look at the first Borderlands, and that was not a graphics-based game.
Yeah.
It was about the guns. It was about the open world.
I don't know, just kind of watching this trailer, I feel the game, it'll be interesting with the storyline it takes, but the way they animate the characters looks a little off. Like, Daryl doesn't look like Daryl.
Oh, they sort of... It does it have the Walking Dead, like, the original game sort of feel? Like, does it have that sort of cartoony character look?
It's not that cartoony, but it's not, like, super polished, you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they can do something with it, but we'll see how that one goes. Next one on our list is Gears of War Judgment. Did you guys play any of the Gears of War games, or?
Yes, just the first one.
Yeah, just the first one.
Yeah.
That was enough for me.
I'm not looking forward to this recent Gears of War Judgment game, because if you guys know, I'm a massive Gears of War fan. I loved 1, I loved 2, but the problem is 3. I didn't like 3, I didn't like the storyline. There's some points that really got you on the edge of your seat. There were some characters that died off, and it was like, oh my god, you killed them, right? But just the storyline, the way they would execute it, I didn't like it. The multiplayer wasn't my thing. I felt 2 was better. And Judgment, they're doing kind of like a prequel, like in-between kind of game thing. So it's supposed to be like between 2 and 3, but it's supposed to follow one of the minor characters named Baird. So I don't know. I'd like to see where they go with it, but I'm honestly not lining up to throw my money and be like, here, have my money, Cliff.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and I'm surprised they're not releasing it on PC, because usually they do kind of like a PC Xbox thing, like all the Gears of War games eventually made it on PC, but I'm not seeing its release on the PC on here, so maybe it'll come later in the month, or they're holding back on it, but we can maybe expect that. What else do we have on the docket here? The one that Andrew's been looking after, the Luigi's Mansion. Yeah, take it away. Give us your expert opinions.
Well, Luigi's Mansion 2, also known as Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. You guys better not be laughing at me.
Not at all.
This is the game I'm most excited for, but won't actually play because I don't have a 3DS.
Yes.
I have an emulator set up to play it, though, when it does come out. Anyways, no, so it's also known as Dark Moon, and that name got added to it fairly recently. It basically follows the same plot as the original Luigi's Mansion. You play as Luigi, Professor Egad is there from the first game, and you have an upgraded Poltergust vacuum cleaner. In the first game, you might have recalled it was the Poltergust 3000, now it's Poltergust 5000. And probably the biggest major difference in this game is that you're not in one mansion, you're in multiple mansions, and from what I've read, the plot is the antagonist is King Boo. He goes up to the Dark Moon, shatters it into a whole bunch of pieces, and the goal is to travel to all these different mansions, retrieve the pieces of Dark Moon. Only other notable difference is that you don't have a flashlight in this game. You have, I forget it actually has a technical name for it, but it basically is like a flashbang. People are relating it to that, and that's how you're going to stun the ghosts. Personally, I'm excited for it just because it's another Luigi's Mansion game. What I don't like is they made all of the ghosts look way too generic.
Yeah.
Like, they look all similar, and they look like they've downgraded from Luigi's Mansion 1. It looks like that one could have been the first game, and Luigi's Mansion could have been the second game. That's what it looks like to me. I don't know if that's the limitation of the 3DS. I don't know if that's just the developers. I also think that making them have to go into multiple mansions, it's a cool concept, but I think they could have focused more on one mansion and made that one mansion better.
So, like, with the original one, was the first mansion very extendable, like, it was continuous sort of thing, like, there was multiple rooms that you always had to go into or could go into, or...
Oh, yeah. It was a very vast mansion. I don't know if these ones are going to be vast as well. I'm guessing they're going to be a little bit smaller. I've seen a couple, like, you know, you see the gameplay, and from what I've seen, I've only been able to see a few rooms, so I can't say.
Yeah, so I'm sure with the multiple mansions, I don't think they'll be able to expand with, like they have in the first one, so it may be very limited to 2 or 3, maybe 5 rooms in each mansion, but I'm sure they'll have one very big mansion with the majority of all the stuff happening. But
maybe.
Who knows, yeah.
I think it looks a little interesting. Like, it might be interesting to play, but I don't know. The ghosts, as stupid as sound, they look really ridiculous. They look like the beta design that they came up with. Like, okay, we're going to kind of just draw this bubble like this and add some designs. We'll come back to this, right? And it feels like, okay, well, we don't have time to come back to it, so we're just going to implement this into the game, and that's what the ghosts are going to look like. Like, that's just what I'm getting from it, like, looking at them.
I'm so happy you said that. That's exactly what they look like. It looks like someone blew a few bubbles.
Yeah, like...
Perfect.
It feels like the ghosts, like, from the first game had much more, like, detail to it. Like, the green guy that hangs from the roof, or was it the green guy that hangs from the roof and throws, like, banana peels?
No, he's on the floor. There are guys who, like, hang from the roof and stuff.
Yeah.
Those ghosts might be in it. We don't know.
Yeah, but, like, the idea, like, they have shape to them. They have, like, definition. They have, like, body shapes to them. And these ones just feel like a bubble. It kind of reminds me of something, like, out of the really old Yu-Gi-Oh! Episodes. Like, this is old reference. I might, like, put a picture on here of, like, what I'm thinking of, but it doesn't feel like it should be relevant at all. Like, they need more definition. Yeah.
They look like they're way too transparent. I don't know. Yeah, like they have a sheen to them if you look at them. And I personally don't like that there's no flashlight either. I thought not only was it kind of harder because you'd have to aim it at the ghost and this flash thing kind of just flashes the whole screen, but it also added the atmosphere to it because you're like, oh, I'm Luigi and I'm carrying a flashlight through this haunted mansion. I don't know. And now the rooms to me don't really look that dark in the new one. They're kind of illuminated, so...
Well, I'm sure they're more illuminated because you don't have that flashlight.
Yeah, exactly, that too.
Yeah, and I'm sure the flashbang sort of style of thing is really only there to startle the ghosts. I'm sure, like, with the brightness of the room that they have, you'll still be able to see all the ghosts, but you won't really be able to do anything to them until you use that flashbang style of thing, or whatever, like, it is.
I have it here, right here. I'll find out what it's called.
Yeah. So, while you're reading that, the one thing I'm wondering, if you look at the graphics for this game, do you think there might be like a system limitation that this has? That if it was on GameCube, it would have better graphics? Because I look at it now, and just the graphics on it, you'd expect on a 3DS they'd be beautiful, to be polished, like really clean. They look really poopy, to be honest. Like they don't. I can't think of a better word. They just don't look that great. It doesn't look like the first Luigi's Mansion. It feels like a downgrade, like you said. Like,
yeah.
It feels like it should have more to it. That they could have like fleshed out the design better and made it look a little more polished, given him like, better emotions or like more definition. But
I think the problem is with that is just because it's on the 3DS, it's very limited.
Yeah.
Like I don't think the 3DS has the capability to make it look like the GameCube or like the Wii or anything like it is.
That's what I was gonna say. They should have made it a Wii U game.
Yeah.
I don't think it was ever meant for a portable game.
But I think what they're gonna include with the 3DS is they'll probably have some sort of version with that you have to use the cameras to like look around your house. Maybe I'm just throwing this out here, but I think that would be relatively interesting.
Augmented reality is a big thing right now.
Yeah.
By the way, I also looked it up. It's called the strobe scope, for anyone who's wondering.
What?
The strobe scope.
Strobe scope.
Strobe. Like a strobe light.
Okay.
Flickering.
That's what it is.
I'm actually strobing my hand right now to like simulate this.
Strobing your hand.
Or like, you know what I mean? Like, where you like try to simulate like a flickering, you like move
Yes,
your hand
I
like
know
that.
what you mean.
But I don't know. I feel the problem with it is like if you look at the Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time that they did for the 3DS, the game had good graphics and they really fleshed it out well to make it on a portable system to run well, to have the same kind of feeling to it that when you played it, it didn't really feel like, oh, I'm not playing on N64 anymore, it's not original. You're playing on your 3DS, it's like, wow, this has a lot of comparisons. This feels almost like the actual game. Sure, they changed a couple of things about it, but it was like that game. And I feel like they could have done that with like Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. I feel like they kind of cheaped out on their graphics. Maybe they didn't have the money that they had for the first one, being the launch title of the console. But it just feels like it's lacking so much. They could have done, like, there's so much they really could have done, but maybe they didn't have the money for it. Maybe it's just too much time constraints. I don't know. I feel there was a lot missing from it that could have been added.
Well, I'll be playing it when it comes out, so whenever we have our next podcast around that time, I'll let you guys know.
Yeah, chance I might pick it up. I don't know, depending on how
you should, because you will actually have the actual system. It'll be
Yeah.
a different experience than what I have.
Exactly. So, do you guys want to move on to the next one, or you got more for Luigi's Mansion?
I think we've talked enough about Luigi's Mansion
Yeah,
for now.
The next one, people are probably going to get an earful. This is BioShock Infinite, coming on the 26th. This is my game. I know so many people have their titles and whatnot. I am dying for this one. Like, I don't have the money to pre-order it right now. I probably do, but it just seems such a hassle right now. Like, I'm going to go out and buy this on release. I'm going to play it all night. I swear to God, I'm probably going to beat this in the first night. This game has me so captivated. I guess everybody has that cult kind of game that they play. Like, you have Resident Evil. You've played every game. You own all the titles. I don't know about you, Blake. Do you have any games that you like really like that you just buy every game
That I
for?
have all the titles. Right now, probably Halo is the closest one. The only one I don't have for Halo is the Anniversary Edition and Halo Wars. But
Yeah, but like
I don't have all the titles of Resident Evil. Just like to throw it out. There's like 50,000 of them, so.
oh, but you've played like all of them.
I know the storyline of every single one.
Yeah.
And I have played a lot of them.
And like you're part of a forum for it as well. Like you follow so innately with it that it's just like
#1 poster right now.
yeah, like you're such a big part of the community right now that like that's your game. I think BioShock is my game. I've played the entire first one, the second one like 3 times. I've gotten all the endings to it, and I've beaten the games on like the hardest difficulties, which people are like, wow, that's kind of a lot. Because if you play this game on the hardest difficulty, it's a bitch when the big daddy comes around with that drill, just boom, one hit, you're dead. You gotta be really tactical about it, and I'm just so excited for this game. I'm gonna fanboy all over it, and I feel they're kind of taking an interesting turn with this one. And this is actually set before the first 2 games. This one's set in 1912.
well, was the like first 2 games? I don't know why I'm asking this, but were they not like underwater or something like that?
Yeah, they were like underwater, but how it worked is your plane kind of crashed, and it was set after the Second World War, and a little bit shortly before the Cold War. I think Cold War was like early 60s when it first started. I don't know, but it was all about that idea of like, the man's not going to keep you down. What's yours is yours. You have that entitlement to do what you want. You know, it felt almost capitalistic driven, but that's just my opinion with it. And I just felt that, I don't know, I really can't find a perfect word or phrase to summarize the first game because there's so much going on in there, right? And it leads to that corruption, like money can lead to corruption, too much freedom can be a bad thing. And it felt like the game kind of emphasized on capitalism, but really towards the idea of what's bad about it, what could happen, why we shouldn't do it. But then the second game kind of gave that idea of like, here's kind of your freedom, do what you want, have what you want, here's the bad things about it. So kind of like, the 2 games almost felt like they represented 2 different sides of the spectrum. And with this one, they've given off a little bit of it, but this one is set like before the First World War, because the First World War was what, 1914 or 1916? I'm not
1914 is when it started.
Yeah, and this one says in like 1914, and you're in Colombia, and this is when there's kind of like a rise of a dictator, and it's in an air city now instead of underwater. So it's much more different, and I've heard a lot that there's going to be a little bit religion-oriented, like, kind of like a cult, almost.
Wait. 4 years, like, airplane was invented in 1904, and you're telling me they have a flying city?
Yeah. It's really messed up. Yeah, there's going to be, like, massive plot holes with that, but, like, it looks like you've got Zeppelins and whatnot, and they did have Zeppelins in the 1800s, didn't they? Like, the really late 1800s?
Whenever the Hindenburg was around and stuff like that, I couldn't tell you, actually.
But it's got, like, the idea of, like, airships and whatnot, and I don't know. I feel it's going to be interesting, but it looks like the Hindenburg was the late 30s. So, this game is kind of like a futuristic spin on old times. So if you're looking at, like, realism, it probably won't match up too well. But I'm kind of interested to see what they do, because with the Bioshock games, the first and second one, it was set in the 50s, and they had that old-timey music that you found in, like, Fallout New Vegas, that people were like, oh, this is actually really cool. And that was one of the things that drew people in, is that old-timey feel. I'm really interested to see what they do with, like, the 1913 era, like, pre-First World War, right? Kind of some of the conflicts and what's really going on, because that was right around the time when technology was taking a big turn. Like, hey, look, we've just produced our first car. We probably just produced our first airship. We're figuring out really advancements in technology of guns and whatnot, right? So it's good, primitive, but advanced for its time. And I'm interested to see what they do, but there's not a lot out there where people are like, hey, look, this is the game. This is what you're going to expect. It's a little bit up and down. Maybe I haven't researched enough of it. Like, some people know a lot about it, but I just don't want to ruin the game for myself. I want to get it, just beat it, and be like, wow, that was great. I didn't expect that to happen. I hate ruining a game for myself before it even comes out. So that's my rant. You guys got anything to go on that, or?
I really don't know much about Bioshock, so really it's all up to you.
I've only played the first 15 minutes or so with you. I mean, like, the first couple videos for that series, that's it.
Yeah,
on your channel.
It's too bad that tanked. I don't think I got any views on any of those at all, which really is unfortunate. I think it might have been because of really bad echo, but I don't think people would know that if they didn't watch it. So, the next title we've got on here is Lost Planet 3. Did you guys ever play the Lost Planet games?
Seen them, heard about them.
Played the demo of the first one, and I just didn't get into it.
Yeah, like, it was that whole idea of it's like really sandbox, but I played a little bit of the demos, I watched some of the trailers, and it looked neat, but I just didn't get into it. I didn't play it much, just didn't really tickle my fancy, I guess. So, it'll be an interesting title to look at. And then we've got one here that I know you guys will be a little bit interested in. It's the recent Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag that just kind of got announced. But whenever they announced, it was more like a leak. So, you guys got thoughts on that? Like, what do you think was going to happen, or?
Well, honestly, I think it's sort of falling short of what Assassin's Creed was and has sort of become. Like, Assassin's Creed, I felt with the first and second one, it was all about being the assassin, being sneaky as hell, and it sort of dropped that, like, aspect of the game, and it's more become, okay, create a riot here, and then sweep in and save the day sort of thing, or go hire an assassin, like, have your own assassins kill these guys, and then sweep in, kill the bad guy, save the day, that sort of thing. But Black Flag, I see it, like, since it's sort of leaked as being sort of pirate style and everything, it's no longer that assassin style of thing. It's more sort of going just with the historic basis of what was sort of happening at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not much that they could do with the assassin style of, like, during the pirates and shit in the, like, early 1800s. I don't think there's much that they can go off of there.
Yeah, well, I heard a lot of complaints with Assassin's Creed 3 about having a lot of guns.
Yeah, there are a lot of guns in it, and, well, it is based during the American Revolution and all that jazz, but there is more guns than there was in, like, number two, you sort of brought in that hidden pistol. Number 3, there was more of the pistol, or sort of with Brotherhood, and then Revelations, there was more of that hidden pistol, but also the flintlock pistols sort of carrying through.
Yeah, and it was kind of like, it felt like a hidden weapon, sort of, like something that you didn't use, but I felt in Assassin's Creed 3, a lot of what you did is like, hey, look, there's guns everywhere. We're all using pistols, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt like in certain situations you'd have like a group of like 5 guys and they all have pistols, and it's just you trying to either shoot them or try and dodge all their shots and kill them. And it might be because of the time era, but
yeah, I think it's more because of the time era and because of the I really liked Assassin's Creed because they went off of historical databases. Like they tried to do everything to the nines. Like I remember reading before Assassin's Creed came out that everything, like every person that died in the game, like major characters that died in the game were like actual people, obviously, but they made it so they die on that day, like that was written in history, and it's rather interesting.
yeah, and it was like a lot of people will make jokes like, oh yeah, I learned more from Assassin's Creed than I did from anything else, but chances are you did. Like there was a lot of realism behind it, and it gave you that fact that like, hey, look, I'm almost playing history. And it gave you that aspect of like you're learning, but you're having fun doing it. You're not playing some stupid like Elmo shit game. You're actually
Elmo shit.
getting some
math, like the math games and stuff on the computer.
I've played enough of those damn Elmo games to know you don't learn much from those. But something like this, you're not learning from it, but you are in the same time. You don't realize it, but it's like, hey, look, this was an actual person. This was an actual person. What happened didn't actually happen. They didn't have some assassins come out and just hit and blade them in the throat, but they died in that time era, and that happened. So
yeah,
I guess some of it was really emphasized, like really drawn out, like Hatham and whatnot, his crew. I don't think a lot of those people were really that existent. Like Hatham, was that an actual person, or was that just a character? I don't believe
so. I think it's more of just a character.
Yeah, but like some of the other people on there that you do kill were some like actual people that died during that era for the revolution and whatnot. So I think the storyline was interesting, but just the gameplay was off. And with the new game coming out, I don't know what to think.
I think they've sort of slipped on the assassin actual style, like, and they're more going towards just more history based. But I wish they would go back to actual like assassin style. Like, I wouldn't mind if they did some sort of slavery thing, even though it wouldn't be linked to Desmond, whatever. Like, put some guy in fucking Africa, like West Africa, make him an assassin, like, what's his face from Assassin's Creed 3, the black guy that's there. I'm sure he was a slave. Put it into his story, show his ancestors maybe in Africa as, like, a slave or a king or something who became an assassin, who got put in the slave trade, sort of did all his assassin shit in there as a slave. I think that would be just fantastic.
That's called Django.
Django Unchained. I don't
care.
I think the major differences that a lot of people have noticed though with this recent one, like Black Flag, is if you look at the box art of Assassin's Creed 3, you've got a tomahawk in one hand and a hidden blade in the other, or in the guy in a sense.
Yeah.
So it is that idea of like, hey look, I'm an actual assassin, I'm still using my close quarter combat kind of weapons, right? But if you look at like the Black Flag art style that they've leaked, he's got the kind of, I don't know, was that a rapier in the one hand, and he's got a revolver.
4 pistols.
Yeah, he's got a revolver in the one hand, and he's got like pistols all over his chest. It's like, what are we getting at now? Are we not assassins anymore? Are we not jumping in and getting right in people's face? Like, there's people shooting all over that box art, right?
Yeah, but like they're going more towards the pirate history of all the pirates having to pick up weapons off of dead guys, and the pistols not always firing, and that's why they had so many and stuff. But like, they were armed to the teeth with pistols, but I think they should really drop that and go more for the secretive style. Like, I think they should maybe have this leaked, but only have this leaked enough that they're only going to use it as a leak. They should go completely in the opposite direction, or try something new with it.
Yeah, kind of like the nautical warfare that you had in Assassin's Creed 3. I feel like that was kind of their way of transitioning into this, but I didn't know what to think of like the boats and whatnot in Assassin's Creed 3. It was okay, but I didn't think it was something where it's like, oh, this is really cool. I can spend hours riding this boat and sinking ships, right?
Yeah.
Man, it was there. It was kind of neat add-on, but I feel like it was like a transition now into this game where this game's gonna have a lot of that, and maybe I'm just not one for like nautical warfare in a sense, but
yeah.
I don't know. For a game that's about assassins, the fact that you're taking it to the water, where are you really going to hide? Are you going to hide in the bird's nest and just jump from, or a crow's nest from like one boat to another and assassinate a guy and then that's it? Is that all you're going to do? Or is there going to be like land? Or are you going to be in something like in Pirates where there's like pirate bays like Tortuga and whatnot? Are you going to have like on land kind of stuff? Or where are they going to go with this? I'm kind of confused.
Yeah, and also I wouldn't mind if like Assassin's Creed took it back to the sort of assassin, like ninja style. I know there's huge controversy, pirates and ninjas, blah blah blah, but like, okay, after the pirates are done, maybe like Assassin's Creed 5 or whatever, bring it back to the original assassins, like the ninjas, fucking all working at night, all that sort of jazz. Like, I think that would be interesting.
I think what they should have done, like you were mentioning with the black guy that trains you in Assassin's Creed 3, I can't remember his name now.
Yeah, I can't remember his name for the life of me.
He's got a particular name that is something that you can remember because it's unique. But I felt they should have done kind of like what they did with like Brotherhoods and Revelation, where it was like a game in between it, so it wasn't its own title. Like it wasn't like 1, 2, 3, and then 4. They should have a game kind of in between 3, kind of like the Revelations Brotherhood thing, to usher into this Black Flag. Not like, hey, it's Assassin's Creed 4 now. There should be like some sort of expansion or just kind of like a slow transition into it instead of just a massive leap.
Yeah, well, that's what I really liked about 2 Brotherhood and Revelations. It was one character.
Yeah.
Like, it followed it all the way through.
Yeah, and like, I felt the way they went about like transitioning their characters was kind of neat. Like in the first one, you had Altair. I think he was a little bit in the second one. Was he at all? Or was Altair in the second one or no?
As flashbacks.
Yeah, he had a little bit of flashbacks, but he was still evident. Yeah, I think you get his armor. You
get his armor, but also like as your Desmond, you have like this flashback going back to Altair and having to like show where Altair's line of succession sort of started. Yeah, and then... As he fucks another assassin. Yeah, and then they transition into Ezio as well, and then Ezio, was he in Brotherhoods and Revelation? Yeah, that's who you were in Brotherhoods and Revelations. Yeah, and then they kind of transitioned to that, and then with Connor was kind of a neat addition, right? Because when you first start, you're like, oh, cool, is Hatham, am I going to be Connor? Is this Connor? And then it's not, and then you eventually get into Connor. Connor's character, he was unique in the way they went about it, but I feel like this new one, if it's not Connor, they're going to struggle with that transition into the new character. Like, I felt Ezio had a little bit in Connor, because I think some of Connor's equipment might have been Ezio's at one point, so it had that realism to it, but just the transition between characters, it almost feels like it's getting sloppy, and if they do that with this new one, if they just give you a new character, I'm going to be kind of mad. Yeah, and that black guy from Assassin's Creed 3, his name is Achilles Davenport. Achilles, that's it. Thank you. Oh, man. That guy was interesting, and I feel kind of bad because we know a lot about this game. I feel Andrew's just kind of sitting aside like, oh, I know a little bit about this, but...
I played Assassin's Creed 2, that's it. Yeah. I beat that game.
I felt 2 was better than 1 in my opinion. That's just me. I'm a little biased towards it, but... aside from that, did any of you guys read any of that article I sent you from the guy, Cliff Blazinski, I think is his name? Yes, I did. Yeah, I don't know what to think of his perspective, because it's kind of interesting. I really believe that wholeheartedly. Like, I honestly think that... Actually, you know what? Are you going to post the article in the link? Yeah. Honestly, like, if you can read it, read it. It's fucking amazing. Like, I totally believe that the companies like Valve and EA, they're all made to make money. They don't, like, sure, they're all about, a customer and all that stuff, but they're really there for the money. Yeah. Like, and people who don't understand that really shouldn't be complaining. Yeah, and like the company is out there to make money, and we play, and we have no problem giving them our money for games we like. But the only problem I've noticed is like back when I was a kid, when I had an N64, a game was like $40, right? And that was like a big launch title, like Ocarina of Time, cost me $35-40 at Toys R Us. Nowadays, you go out and get like a launch title, it'll cost you about 70 or more. 70, and then you can buy like the limited edition one, which comes with an extra disc and $100. Some extra stuff. Yeah, $100 with a cool collectible case, and it's like, games are expensive as is, and with the way they pump out games, I can't keep throwing my money at you saying, here, keep taking my money. keep making Call of Duty games. I have $70 in my pocket every 2 weeks to blow on all of your games, right?
Yeah.
And it makes sense where he says if you like it, give them your money. Well, we're not all made of money, though. We can't go out and we can't be like some big game designer that's like, all right, I've got money. I'm going to play every game that's made.
Yeah, you have to, like, I find nowadays you really have to research the game you want to buy. It's not just, oh, okay, well, this game looks nice, go out and rent it. You can't rent games anymore. You have to buy. So
Yeah.
you really have to make that effort to look into the game, watch videos on YouTube, follow commentators. Like, you have to research the game, see how it is, see others people's view on it, then make your own sort of guess and how you feel about the game, and then either go out and buy it or don't buy it.
I don't hate on the companies too much for the price increases. I think a lot of it has to do with just the inflation of prices in general. And definitely, like, if you guys look in the past, some games, like Sega Genesis games, when those games came out, they were pretty expensive. But also, gaming, as a gaming corporation expands, they have to fund more people as well. And obviously, they're making millions of dollars on a game. But for instance, Resident Evil 6 was made by 600 people were in charge of making that game.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, if you go back to, I don't know, but I'm just making a guess that 600 people didn't get together and work on, like, you know, N64 games. They just didn't have that. But, you know, everyone has their favorites and stuff, too. Like, I don't necessarily like the companies that pump out DLCs, like Capcom loves to do that, and EA loves to do that, too. Just, you know.
Yeah, and I noticed in one of them he mentioned like EA, like everybody was riding EA. That one they made, I think, was Mass Effect. Was that EA? Yeah, I think that was. I think EA.
Yeah, it was EA.
And when Mass Effect 3 came out, they had that DLC, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know why people are riding." And I'm like, they had DLC, but the problem is the DLC that they released for Mass Effect 3 was actually an important character in one of the storylines. That if you had that DLC and you played it, it would just totally flesh out some of that game, and it would make so much more sense that. They'll leave that out and say, okay, well, the game just came out. By the way, we've got this DLC on the side here that'll make the story even better for $10.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, all three of us have experienced that with Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. All three of us with that Spec Ops campaign that Capcom released, and they released, first of all, you can't release, like, that's a whole other half of the game. It's almost like they released half a game.
Yeah.
All those DLCs, they add up to another game. And it makes it worse that they released them in parts. Like, I'm not going to pay for that.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I honestly did not have the money to play the Operation Raccoon City DLC, and I wish I had, but...
It was a great campaign, though.
Yeah, like, the campaigns were good, but it's just... You need that DLC to kind of make it a little bit better and add that to it, and I guess... He did mention it, like, people shouldn't be so hard on companies continuously making DLCs to come out for their games, but when you look at a franchise like Call of Duty, for example, they make DLC. Yeah, they just make map packs and zombie packs for every event. So like,
and then they make Black Ops 2, and it's just another DLC of Modern Warfare 3, or Modern Warfare 3 is a DLC of Black Ops. Like, people aren't realizing that, and it's it's a good game, but everyone is on that bandwagon right now, and honestly, we're going back to the trends, and I think that trend should die. Like, Call of Duty should stop.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel the only reason I ever play Call of Duty games anymore is the Nazi zombies. I love the Nazi zombie mode. I felt it was so creative, had so much to it, and the way they've expanded the Nazi zombies is awesome, and it's unique, but the way they put out the maps is like, oh, we'll put this map pack out for 1,600 Microsoft points, and we'll put another one out 3 months later for another amount. It's like, I can't keep up with this.
Yeah.
And eventually, when a new map pack comes out, people will start playing that and transition away from the older ones. And if you don't have the money to play the newer ones, you don't really have much to play with, right? You've got like the same people you're playing with every time, and chances are you're playing with a lot of 12-year-olds. Yeah. Well, you're all like poor, but at the same time, it's like, you want to get those new maps because they're so cool and they add so much more to it that you don't have the money for it.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I'll let you finish because I'm sort of changing the topic.
Oh, well, I was going to like transition into a different game, but like, what was the topic you were going to go into?
Into another game.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, well, I noticed we sort of skipped over Grand Theft Auto 5. Like, that's sort of the introduction into the new systems and the new open world concepts I've really noticed.
Yeah, I'm wondering where they'll go with that. Like, where's it going to be set? What the time era is going to be? Because like Vice City was the 80s and San Andreas was what, 90s?
I have no clue.
And then the 4 was recent time. So
yeah, in the Grand Theft Auto, it's I don't know. I'm reading, but
yeah, I'm looking for it. We'll find. Oh, Grand Theft Auto 5. Here we go. September 17th, if anybody's interested. Yeah.
In fictional Los Santos, in the state of San Andreas. So we're going back to San Andreas. That's nice.
That'll be interesting, yeah.
Because, yeah, I really liked San Andreas. Like, that game, and everybody liked that game, honestly, I think.
Yeah, it was one of the bigger ones.
Yeah, it was way more popular than I found 3 was, or 4 was, even.
Yeah.
I haven't really played all the games for GTA, but what was that one with the bridge, like the big red bridge going across it? Was that San Andreas or Vice? You guys can remember.
I think they all had big bridges, but I'm not sure which red bridge you're talking about. I want to say it's number 3, honestly.
Just because I know if you climb up to the top of one of them, there's like an Easter egg, and you climb all the way up to the top, and it's a little sign that says, "There's no Easter eggs up here. Go away," or something like that.
Wow,
it's
yeah.
great.
I've never seen that. But like, if you think about the DLC thing, there's like one last game I just want to talk about, and the game I was going to mention is Gears of War. And the thing that bothered me about Cliff making this article is he was behind like all the Gears of War games up until 3. And I used to play Gears of War all the time, 1 and 2, and if anybody's ever played it, you'd realize with the multiplayer, it had the host system on there, so one person hosted the game, and if they had good internet connection, the game would be awesome. But having the host, you'd almost have like superpowers, so your gun would be a little bit stronger for some reason, and you'd have more advantages, right? Yeah. And people were so mad about that in Gears of War 2, because it was a fun game, but the host system ruined it.
Yeah.
And when Gears of War 3 was rumored, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, we have dedicated servers now, no more hosts, no more rage quits, no more stats being lost and whatnot, right? And when Gears of War 3 came out, they released it, people played the multiplayer, they liked it, and then they released the DLC and said, okay, well now you have to buy the DLC to have the dedicated servers.
Yeah.
And then it went back to that host system unless you had the DLC. And then they released more DLC and more DLC, and it's like, what are you doing? You promised us with your third game that drew people into it, and then you're taking it away with DLC. You're just trying to grub money out of people, and it really bothered me that he like wrote that. He's like, oh yeah, you know, DLC is a necessity, blah blah blah. Well, why couldn't you just leave that in the game and have dedicated servers to people that don't have the money to pump out into your game constantly, right?
Yeah.
Let alone the fact that you make the title.
Reading into Grand Theft Auto 5, they don't even have time zone like set for it yet, so really they don't know if they're going to put it in. Like San Andreas was based in 92, Vice City was 86, Grand Theft Auto 3 was 2001, Grand Theft Auto 4 was 2008. Like they don't know where they're going to place number 5. So preferably it goes after San Andreas, and it'll go more towards like early 2000s, because that would be nice. But
oh yeah, it looks like, oh no, never mind.
Yeah, they don't have a set like time when they want to, like the time era where they want to place it.
Yeah, but I'm interested in the fact that it's going to be like that open world multiplayer.
Yeah,
that's going to be neat. All right, so I think that's a majority of our topics. I know you guys had 2 things you each wanted to mention about your stuff, so if you want, you can do that, and we can start wrapping this up and coming close to an end, because I think we've been going at this for like an hour now.
Yeah, Andrew, I'll let you go at it first.
You'll let me go at it first? Alright, well, I won't be long at all here. I just wanted to give a shout out to ResidentEvilForums.net. It's one of the larger Resident Evil online forum communities that's out there. So yeah, basically, just go ahead. If you're into Resident Evil, you'll probably enjoy it just like any other gaming forum. So yeah, ResidentEvil.net is pretty much all I have to say.
Okay, and now for mine, and I know I've been saying that I hate the Call of Duty and the fanboy and shit, and Call of Duty needs to stop, but sadly, I'm in a Call of Duty community. It's called Elite Gaming Community. Check us out at elitegaming.co. We're just a big group of people, probably about 200 strong right now. Really, we're just a group of people looking to have some fun, share some friends, and pretty much just play with people all over North America. We the majority of us sit on COD. We're slowly expanding into Battlefield and Borderlands and Need for Speed, but Halo sort of. But yeah, like, check us out if you're interested in joining. I'm sure Rage will post a link, not really to who I am, but he'll post like my gamer tag, I'm sure, and you guys can feel free to message me or add me, whatever you guys want, and we can talk and set things up. But yeah, check us out. Thank you.
Yeah.
Resident Evil forum says 1,800 people.
Oh,
Yeah, but that's Resident Evil forums. We're just a small community on Xbox.
Yeah, so I gotta give them that. I kind of like some of these forums are pretty awesome because some of them will be like system related. So if you guys are big on like Xbox, this Elite Gaming thing is a pretty cool idea. If you guys are really PS3 oriented, maybe something like Necessary Gaming. I've been on there a few times. I've noticed it's very PlayStation oriented. It's not my thing. Doesn't mean I don't like the people on there. They're pretty good people, but it's very PlayStation. IGN's not too bad. There's a lot of forums out there that you people can get into and get involved with. So if you guys are interested, please check out some of these forums and links and stuff. I'm going to leave all the links in the description, kind of like a link dump. And I'll leave a lot of the information for like how to get to our channels or gamer tags and whatnot. You'll find a way to be able to contact us in any way that you need to. If you enjoyed this, please follow, like, subscribe, whatever you feel is necessary. And maybe we'll bring this more in the future. Hopefully we can. Like to try and keep this consistent, but
yeah, hopefully we can get Jesse Cola in here, get his feedback. Maybe even next week, if we can just sort of touch on this topic for maybe 20 minutes, even get all his feedback on everything that we just talked about.
Yeah, let's hope we can get him in, because I know he's a big COD player, so he could bring a lot to the table as well. So with that, we'll kind of draw this to a do. I hope you guys enjoyed, and please stay tuned for the next one. Thanks for watching or listening, in a sense.